This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. 5 years ago, deep in a bear market, a group of traditional finance experts founded BitGet, and they've been building ever since. Now, with 20 million users worldwide, BitGet is committed to helping users trade smarter by providing a secure one-stop crypto investment solution with copy trading, future trading, and spot trading. Your security is their priority, and BitGet has one of the largest protection funds in the industry, with US $300 million to cover potential trader losses from unforeseen events that are not due to misconduct from the user or platform. BitGet wants to inspire everyone to embrace Web3, so if you're new to crypto, learn more at the BitGet Academy with free blockchain courses, crypto guides, cryptocurrency trading strategies, and more. Or for the experienced investor, trade smarter with daily access to institutional-grade crypto market intelligence and trends analysis with BitGet Research. I've put links to BitGet Research and the BitGet Academy in the show notes, so get amongst it or simply go to bitget.com. Thank you to BitGet, and now it is on with the show. My guest today is Danielle Wall Elliott. Danielle is the COO at Nayms, which is fascinating. It is a crypto native insurance marketplace. We'll learn all about this today. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Hi, Andy. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. We'll do what we do at the beginning of the show, Danielle. It'd be great if you could please introduce yourself. Love to just hear some of your, personal and professional backstory, what you've been doing in the lead up to becoming, COO at Nayms.
Oh, yes. I guess where to start, I really as a kid thought I wanted to go into the political realm. So I pursued politics as a hobby and a passion and went to school for political science. And I felt excited by the opportunity for change. But as I grew older, I kind of quickly that light felt dimmed, or it felt almost like impossible to make change in this kind of very bought and paid for system that is the US politics. I did internships in DC, and again, that light grew a bit dimmer. So I found more like a libertarian group of friends, and maybe even all the way to say anarchist group of friends early in 2014, right after I'd graduated from college, and I was feeling this want to impact the world and change the world, but I wasn't quite sure how I would do it anymore. And this group of friends introduced me to Bitcoin. And I had a lot of reservations and hesitations, but once I finally, I think the other big moment was I read Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. And through that, I started to see things differently. Those frustrations I had towards politics started to feel like I could still make that change and opt out of that system through participation in, a non-government backed currency. So I became very passionate about Bitcoin and crypto. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2014. I think I used my rent money that month, a little bit of it. It was only $250 at the time, just to really start to see what it was all about. And I think back then I thought that it would really be a transformation for payments, and as well as a global currency. We've seen that develop, with the addition of Ethereum and stable coins to really not be Bitcoin's bread and butter, and Bitcoin really just to be that store of value. But yeah, it taught me all those lessons. And I was able to, in 2016, join a company called Shapeshift, which was founded by Eric Voorhees. And that was all about decentralization, really the strong tenets of self-custody, high levels of security, really trying to use crypto exactly what it was designed to do. Be your own bank, have responsibility of, owning your own wealth, and being able to interact with anyone, anywhere in the world, whenever you want. I thought that really felt like freedom. So I worked there in operations, started even in customer support. I was the 12th employee there. I saw that grow to 150 people, back down to 75. And then Shapeshift had a great idea because of some regulatory concerns to actually just decentralize and become a DAO. So I was the last employee to kind of leave in that final wave after we, put everything down. I submitted the first proposal to the DAO, served on the Treasury Management Committee of the DAO in the beginning, but then started looking for my new opportunity. And that's where I found Nayms. Nayms sits kind of solely in that 1 foot in heavy regulation, especially in being in the insurance industry. And, then 1 foot in the crypto space. They've got great regulators through Bermuda. And we've been able to, do something completely new for me, and new for the world. So I'm sure we'll get into it more, but that's kind of my route of how I, became so passionate about crypto, decentralization, self-custody, and the like.
Yeah, thanks for sharing some of your story, Danielle. And look, Shapeshift, I mean, any long-time crypto users will certainly remember Shapeshift well, and probably with fondness. I certainly do myself. And I guess, before we even had, what we would think of as DeFi today, I suppose, Shapeshift was that early, platform that was just such a great product, and obviously found product market fit very early on because it was so, it was slick and simple to use. And maybe with the benefit of hindsight, it was almost too easy to use for people that, that were coming into crypto for the first time and just going a little bit nuts. I'm sure a lot of people were like that. But those were fun times, the Shapeshift days.
Those were the great days. I mean, I remember even when we decided to add Ethereum to the exchange, it was a big risk. It felt so new. And when you look back on all that now, it's like, wow, that should have been such an easy decision, or, so some of those moments. But we wanted to do something that felt as decentralized as you possibly could be back in those days before we had smart contracts. So we almost call it like a crypto vending machine. Put one crypto in, get the other one out. It's supposed to be, as non-custodial as possible and as quick and easy and simple as possible. No accounts, it gets you caught up in some of the issues that we faced later on. But at the time, super easy way to interact with multiple cryptocurrencies.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, let's move on to Nayms then. And look, I must admit the kind of the idea of on-chain insurance. It's a little bit tricky to get your head around, just from to begin with. But look, that's what we're here to talk about today. So, give us, I guess, a high-level overview. What is Nayms?
So I think a lot of people they kind of take it to that level of like, okay, crypto insurance, and then they stop there. But Nayms takes it much deeper. So insurance as an asset class mostly is invested in by pensions and hedge funds, and that's in the traditional world. And, Dan, our CEO and co-founder, really kind of came up with this idea that, hey, insurance needs access to alternative sources of capital to continue to write new lines of business. And crypto was definitely, still is in need of like real world yields. So at Nayms, we've built a insurance marketplace where insurers can come in and they can have a business plan. It can be any type of insurance, not just limited to crypto insurance. So it could be travel insurance, it could be something like catastrophe insurance, and these insurers, they don't want all that liability to sit on their own balance sheet. So they go and raise funds. And then through premium payments for those policies that they issue, they can have a return, a yield for those capital providers. And so Nayms is a marketplace where capital can come and meet this insurance as an asset class. Your capital is then tokenized, which then gives you the benefit of liquidity. And in this traditional insurance space, you can't really get in and out of these positions. So not only as like putting it on chain, having these smart contracts makes it more efficient to track, you have proof that the funds are actually there in reserve and ready to be paid out for any claims. But I think most important is that we've introduced liquidity into this insurance as an asset class space.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I suppose this is part of the story of, I guess the easy way to understand it really is just the tokenization of real world assets, or exactly. Indeed, different asset classes. And, listeners probably have seen Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, who, has gone from being fairly critical of Bitcoin and really crypto as an asset class, as recently as perhaps 2 years ago, and now has kind of done a full switch around, and is now he has been flying the flag for Bitcoin in the lead up to the approval of the Bitcoin ETFs. But now he's also talking about how the next kind of big unlock, if you like, of what crypto enables is the tokenization of real world assets. Amazing to see, like Larry and many of his cohorts suddenly coming around to this, right?
Absolutely. I think, you can shrug off crypto as a scam, or you can buy into some of the bad press that it's received. Or you can look at it and say, wait, what actually could I use this technology for, in my industry? And, especially now that we operate with the internet, we all have this global audience that we can tap into. And so to eliminate middlemen like banks, where they're taking their cut every time you're transferring money, to then be able to put it on chain, have it be verifiable. I mean, I just don't think you can beat it. And I think that 2024, 2025, we're going to see this revolution of, the tokenization of real world assets really take off. I mean, obviously it's already beginning, but I think that's going to be such a hot topic that we'll see over the next 2 years.
And I suppose the tricky part of this is that as much as blockchains enable the tokenization of any asset that someone would wish to tokenize, the problem, of course, and this is really the story of Shapeshift as well, Danielle. The problem is when you get people from all around the world, different countries, different jurisdictions. They're only too happy to use something like Shapeshift to participate in this. However, of course, the problem is regulators, or the different laws and different countries and different investor classes, all of that stuff. So maybe with that in mind, tell us, how you attempt to navigate this with Nayms, and perhaps who Nayms is aimed at the beginning for now, and where we could potentially go in the future.
That's a great question. So we are fully regulated by the Bermuda Monetary Authority. Bermuda is the third largest insurance and reinsurance hub in the world. So we're very lucky that jurisdiction fits really well with what we're doing. So we have both a innovative insurer general business license that allows us to have oversight over that insurance activity that's on Nayms. It's not any insurance, not any sponsor that can come through the door. We evaluate the plans. We have an insurance committee, which has, a third-party insurance manager on it. We evaluate what types of risks are going to be on there, and if their proposed yield rates seem in line. We have a team of insurance professionals, actuarial review. So it goes through the ringer, and that comes from our responsibility that we have through that insurance license. But then we also have our digital asset license. And Bermuda has been so friendly to digital asset businesses and so attentive. We're able to meet with them basically whenever we want. But, like our normal meetings are quarterly. We were able to start our business in what they call their sandbox license. So we kind of could tell them what we would want to do. We did proof of concepts there, and then we're able to, launch as a fully functioning business. We do have qualified acquirer status. That's the Bermuda status for, investors. I'm so used to saying qualified acquirer now. I'm trying to remember the US one. Accredited investor. So it's yes. Very similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we are, especially in the beginning, like very much focused on getting the right types of people that understand the risk that they're taking on with their capital. And then also making sure that the risks are heavily evaluated. In the future, Nayms is launching a token, which has opportunity for more the retail investor to get a more exposure to, say, like a basket of insurance risks rather than, needing to evaluate each insurance risk that they might participate in. So definitely have that on our minds, and in the future, seeing, how we can be an investment for, multiple types of crypto users.
Yep, that makes sense. So, well, tell us then a little bit about where Nayms sits at the moment. So there's a token that is perhaps coming sometime in the future, and so reading between the lines there, that token would effectively tokenize a kind of a different basket of different types of insurance and funds and so on, and just allow, as you say, retail or everyday investors to access that. But that is coming in the future. So what kind of exists at the moment for those accredited investors, and how easy is it for them to, well, talk us through, I guess, the process as to what they can do at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nayms launched last year with 2 small cells just to make sure everything worked appropriately. So one was $500K for travel insurance, and one was $500K for a catastrophe insurance. They're called industry-linked, or sorry, ILS, industry-linked securities. Insurance-linked securities. In crypto, we have so many acronyms already, and then you add in all the insurance acronyms. It's easy to get confused. So we have also launched this year what we kind of called our Investor 2.0 strategy, which means that anyone that meets that qualified acquirer status can come in and invest right away. So we're really proud of that. We're really excited that we've made onboarding super easy, and you can onboard yourself. We recently also launched on Base. That gives us a whole new set, a whole new user set. And we're really excited. We feel like they are the right types of clients. You go through KYC, and then you can buy what we call participation tokens for a number of cells that have a different set of risk in each cell. So you go in, you need to do your own due diligence. All the information is there for you to evaluate, what type of risk program you're backing, what the yields you could make on your USDC is the main crypto right now, hopefully to launch, more cryptos in the future. And then, you can buy your participation tokens, hold them for however long the on risk period is. And then you'll get your distribution at the end there. And then, if you ever needed to leave, you can have that trading functionality. And then last thing I'll say too is, like, with the token, what we really want to encourage is more liquidity on our marketplace. And we all know with the DeFi boom, none of that would have been possible without liquidity. So that's a huge piece, obviously, to make sure we have the legal and regulatory foundation for ourselves, that our smart contracts have been audited and are, ready for all of this. All of that's done. And now it's really focusing on getting users and making sure there's adequate liquidity, in our marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you talked about this a little bit, but just to clarify, so as it was one of the first products launched on Base or on Nayms on Base, was the industry loss warranty contract, the ILW. So just explain what that is, because it's quite interesting.
Yeah. So in the insurance space, people can buy these contracts, more like insurance policies, where it's the entire industry like price point of damage. So the last one that we did was, had an attachment point of, let's call it $50 billion. So if any one hurricane event happened in the US over that amount, so that would be like bigger than Katrina, that would trigger this policy. So it's just one policy. So it's all or nothing. So if you're the capital provider, that's a risk that you're taking on, but the returns reflect that risk. And then something else like, say, travel insurance, that's going to be utilized a lot less frequency. So again, a lower risk profile, and your yields and returns will reflect that as well.
Yep. And you talked about the, for something like this to be successful over time, it's as simple as attracting investment, generating liquidity, really. But to achieve that, well, how do you achieve that, Danielle? Because, it's maybe I'm the wrong person to think of as, someone who would potentially be excited about investing in insurance as an asset class. And look, I mean, no disrespect by saying that. I guess what I'm saying is, it's not what you would think of as an exciting investment to the kind of the typical crypto degens, just to kind of oversimplify it, that you'd be familiar with from your Shapeshift days, obviously. So it's a much more sophisticated product aimed at a much more sophisticated investor, I suppose. But you still got to market it right and communicate it, and how do you tell your story and reach those people?
Well, we are right in the thick of it, solving this problem right now, because you'll find, maybe groups that are hedge funds, pensions, like, more traditional, they already participate in this insurance as an asset class. So then you're teaching them about crypto. You're introducing them to custodians. You are educating them on what an address is. Or you have the flip side of that, sophisticated crypto investors who, like you, don't think insurance is very sexy, or, you're not going to get automatic yields every block. So it is more for the long-term strategic investment that is looking for risks that are uncorrelated to the rest of the market. I think that's key.
Yeah.
Especially someone who's in crypto, who you could be in different lending protocols, you could be staking your ETH, you could be, you could have different stables. But if something happens to the industry, pretty much all those boats are going to go down with that tide. Whereas investing in insurance, again, like, let's take the travel insurance. Doesn't matter what's happening to insurance, or sorry, it doesn't matter what's happening to interest rates, or what happened with the election, or what happened, to the S&P 500. Those people are still traveling, and they're still claiming if they miss their flight or whatever might have happened. Again, that hurricane does not care what's happening, in the financial markets. It's going to happen one way or another. So it really is an opportunity to have a diverse set of investments in your portfolio.
Yeah, and I think a key way to think about this, Danielle, of course, is that it's not enabling any new kind of investment necessarily. Or, insurance as an asset class has existed for some time, but the key thing is you're enabling a new way of investing in it, with new digital blockchain rails and the kind of exciting opportunities that unlocks, which really goes back to what we're talking about, tokenization of real world assets. And it's that unlock that is going to be the exciting part of the future, right?
You've got it. We should hire you to help us explain it.
Well, and look, on that note, like, if we kind of zoom out a little bit, talk to us about, what do you see as, I guess, some of those unlocks, some of the advantages of tokenization going forward. Obviously we can fractionalize things like everything from real estate to fine art, exotic cars, insurance as an asset class. Yeah, what are some of the advantages that this kind of tokenization will eventually bring to, well, consumers, retail investors, and of course, I guess the owners of these different asset classes as well?
I think what I'm most passionate about, at least in this kind of revolution of putting things on chain, is just that you get to eliminate a lot of that trust that we put in a lot of large corporations, companies, governments, banks, and we really can trust the different blockchains. I also, you know, one of the companies that I really admire is working in this kind of tokenization of real world assets. Is actually in like mining rights and tracking of um, conflict free like gems and resources. And so again, just kind of all comes back to that like traceability, where you don't have to trust that this company is doing it, or believe them that they didn't pay someone off, or that they didn't do something nefarious to just meet the guidelines. We really can have this like full traceability, trackability, and trust that's there. I think that's, for me, more than anything, it's what's most inspiring, what makes me get out of bed and continue to be in this industry for the last 10 years. I think also with the tokenization of real world assets, we get those naysayer and deniers that just saw crypto as, again, I kind of said this at the top, but like that saw it as just a way for criminals to engage in illicit activity, or just saw it as get rich quick type schemes. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist in our industry, but if you're only looking at that, like, you're missing the point.
Yeah, that's very well said. And look, if we kind of zoom out, and this was perhaps a little bit of a utopian vision, I guess, but the ideal kind of end point of tokenization and crypto markets, I guess, would be something like, just call it a kind of cyberpunk, but a utopian vision of cyberpunk. Maybe that's solarpunk, the solarpunk idea of a kind of the everything market, really, where imagine something like a kind of shapeshift style front end where you could almost trade, any asset for any other asset and swap in and out, but it was actually on chain. Do you think that kind of future is possible? What kind of timeline would we put on something like that?
Oh, that's my dream world. Let's see. I think that if we can figure out identity on chain, and when I say that, I don't even mean, that my passport is tied to a specific address. I think that there's opportunity out there for an address, like a specific crypto address, to have participated in the ecosystem and then get like a score of how, I don't know, like reliable or reputable the address is, and it's never interacted with blacklisted addresses or illicit funds or things like that. And then maybe you could see that kind of utopian future where, qualified addresses rather than qualified, let's call them people. And then you could come in and participate in some of these more like, say, global markets, trading anything for anything. I Timeline for me on something like that is like, I feel like more than 2-3 decades away. I think that first, what's going to happen and what's happening currently is like you see regulators trying to fit crypto into old laws and old boxes. Some of them are doing great by creating new laws and really trying to become educated themselves. But I think that, we'll lose a lot of time and innovation trying to cram this new innovative technology into some of this like old traditional finance rules. So I worry that, especially because you're dealing with so many multiple governments, that might be an issue. But yeah, I can definitely see that future, and I want it so badly for us. I just think there's going to be quite a few hurdles for us to get there.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that it's another way of thinking about this is it requires one or two generations at least
Yeah.
to make that generational shift. And another way of thinking about that of Bitcoin has only existed for what is it, 15 years or something like that, and so let alone all these other parts of the crypto ecosystem. So you need that kind of Lindy effect to really take hold and for people to understand, become crypto native, really. And I guess another way of thinking about this is you see it taking place in the US, of course, at the moment. I think there's the SEC and Coinbase are going at it again in court. And I guess one of the there's a lot of parts to some of these cases, but the key part really is that the SEC, for whatever reason, are still trying to say that the securities laws written in what was it, in the 1930s, they want to try, yeah, they want to try and put everything under those laws, which doesn't make sense. If you can someone can create a brand new digital asset class out of nothing, just 15 years ago, it doesn't make sense to try and put it in a box that was written almost 100 years ago, right?
It seems pretty crazy to say out loud that a company has to sue their government to get clarity on their business activities. It really, and talk about slowing innovation, talking about most companies are not going to do that. They're going to leave, but I respect Coinbase. I respect Kraken. I respect those that have really tried to stay steadfast and just try to bring I don't want to say outdated government, but I think that's probably right. A bit, we've said it right there, 1933. It is outdated. That's the definition of that, into this world that we all live and breathe in, and it's really become second nature, and like you said, that generational difference. Like my nieces and nephews, the kids around me, they don't blink twice when I talk about how like my wealth is in digital assets. They're really open-minded to it. They know that they can talk to strangers on the internet all over the world, and they can see what people are doing in other countries through TikTok and Instagram. And so I don't think it'll be that hard for those folks. But yes, that generation above us that kind of wants things done the way it's always been done, that's just not the attitude that we need, for something that's so new.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, look, Danielle, as we finish up this part of the podcast, for people that are intrigued, for accredited investors, for people that want to learn more about Nayms and, investing in insurance as an asset class, tokenization, what should people do? Where should people go to learn more?
So Nayms.com, Nayms.com, is the best place to get started. You can go through that journey for onboarding. You can contact us for more information. Our business operations manager, Lachlan, would love to speak to you and give you a one-on-one demo and help you really get set up, especially if you're looking to invest capital, or you can do it yourself. So that's something we're super excited about. I'd say also, Dan and I have a podcast called The Missing Link, where we kind of dig in with thought leaders in the space, and try to tackle this topic that's not so easy to say in 30 seconds and sell you on it. So if you're looking for just more education, I'd point you there. If you're looking to get started, come visit us at Nayms.com.
Yeah, I was actually just going to bring up the podcast because I've got that page open in front of me, and I can see, one of your most recent guests was in fact Eric Voorhees from Shapeshift.
I had to call him up and ask him to be on the pod. It's so fun. I have heard Eric give such great talks over the years, but that permissionless talk that he did was just absolute fire. I mean, the quote about they shouldn't be sending us subpoenas and arresting us, we should be getting Nobel Prizes in economics, I just really stuck with me. So after that, I was like, please come on the podcast. Please tell us like what you're thinking and what's new. So always so fun to talk to him. He has such a great foundation of like where his principles come from. So I just always try to like embody that myself.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, folks, look, Nayms.com. Links will, of course, be in the show notes. I think what we do now, Danielle, is we will go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll finish off. We'll have some fun. We'll run you through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. We'll be back in 1 second.
Awesome.
All done.
You mean the toast?
Something tastier. I've just copied an elite trader on BitGet. One click, and it's done.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't have to sit here manually spying on the moves of smart money and crypto and copying them. I just have to click once, sit back, and BitGet does the rest.
You are so lazy.
It's about working smarter, not harder. Copy it until you make it.
Hands off, gains up. Start copy trading on BitGet.
All right, we are back. I'm with Danielle Wall Elliott. Danielle is the COO at Nayms. Yeah, crypto native insurance, invest in insurance as an asset class on chain. Pretty cool, pretty cool. We've learned a lot about this today. Well, Danielle, you may or may not know, but I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
I'm ready.
All right. Just going to run some questions at you, Danielle. No right or wrong way to do it. Just give me your kind of honest hot take style answers if you like. Question one for you. Danielle, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
As far on the multi-chain opportunist as you could be. Again, if you are just, you've done so much to get to Bitcoin, to look at the opportunities and then to stop there, it just seems silly to me.
Yeah, very well said. All right. Well, what would you say, Danielle, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Educate yourself, self-custody your funds if you feel you are responsible enough to do so. Make sure that you get, full education. For me, I like to do, C4 is an organization that does like the certified Ethereum professional exam, certified Bitcoin professional exam. So I'd say I want everyone to self-custody their funds, but you need to be educated to do it. So both of those items.
Yeah, great thoughts. Okay. Look, Bill Gates famously said, Danielle, that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. I mean, that's kind of the story of crypto. But so if we look at 10 years into the future, and 10 years is a long time in blockchain. Look, anything you like, but I guess, on-chain insurance as an asset class, Nayms, crypto in general, what do you think it all looks like in 10 years' time?
I have a hope that crypto can become more integrated into the pop culture and like the fabric of our daily lives. So something like the NFL, the NBA, some of these major organizations that already have such a big following, adopting crypto, and just want to see that so that we get that mass adoption of crypto. I think it doesn't all just have to be financial products. So really seeing what it can do for the music industry, seeing what it can do for, say, even like on-chain verification of your diplomas. So I just want to see it permeate to more than just financial products.
Yeah, very well said again. Okay, flip side of that, of course, is a quote by William Gibson, who famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Danielle, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
I mean, Nayms is a great example of this. We're just in that battle of education and making sure that, both the insurance side can see the benefits in the future of adopting blockchain technology, as well as those that are already, well invested in the crypto space, learning about insurance as an asset class, learning that it is uncorrelated risks. I think just in general, it's just finding the projects and educating yourself on them. So that's what it is. Like the future is already here, but are you looking for it?
Yes, indeed. Look, you're a podcast host yourself. As we've heard, you host a podcast called The Missing Link. What's it like being a guest on a podcast, Danielle? Do you do a lot of other podcasts as well as a guest?
I have done a few podcasts. I also love giving speeches at conferences. So I've done both insurance conferences, and crypto conferences. I find those to be much harder because I'm the center of attention, and you get a little bit more nervous and excited, but it still is, all eyes on you. I really enjoy being the host of a podcast because I can research the guest, watch so many of their interviews before, where I almost feel like I can anticipate what they're going to say on my own podcast. So it really gives me an opportunity to connect with the guest in a really different way. So I like being the center of attention. Who doesn't? But I prefer, being the host.
I love it. Very well said. All right. The final question for you, Danielle. What is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I'll go with Game of Thrones. I think that, the power struggles, the dynamics, even though they're in such a fantastical world, just really drew me in. And, I feel like you can kind of try to pull those out and relate them to your own lives or, even thinking about it crypto, all these different tokens, we're all competing, we're all going for the throne. So yeah, super great show, super fun. Maybe you don't love the ending, but still is a top one for me.
Yeah, look, me too. Game of Thrones, that was what an epic experience it was to watch all of those seasons of Game of Thrones. Yeah, last season was a little bit controversial, but are you familiar with the next project from the, I can't remember their names, but the producers of Game of Thrones? You know what they're doing next?
No, is it the House of Dragons that's related, or is it something completely new?
No, it's something completely new. So they because I think it's a different team doing House of Dragon, but the Game of Thrones guys are doing it's an adaptation of Chinese language series of 3 books called The Three Body Problem, which is a very famous book. And it's a famous book, very, very popular in China, and the English language version has been very popular as well. But it comes out on Netflix, I believe, later this year. And I think that is going to be one of the biggest shows of the year. Very, very excited to see that.
I'm so happy for the recommendation. I'm always looking for my next binge-worthy series.
Yes, indeed. Hey, look, this has been a lot of fun, Danielle. I really enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with us. Just to finish off, again, look, tell people what they should know about Nayms, what you guys are building. And look, please shout out your Twitter, the Nayms Twitter or X or wherever else you like to hang out online.
Well, Andy, it's been sweet as being on the podcast today with you. And yeah, you can find me on X at Danny Wall, DANIWALL, and some underscores there, at Nayms, NAYMS, and, LinkedIn. I think if you Google us, you're going to find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. There you go. That was Danielle from Nayms. Danielle was great. You can tell that Danielle is a podcast host herself because, she's a good talker, very articulate, very passionate, and good at explaining names, explaining I suppose the benefits of tokenization of real world assets, as even the likes of Larry from BlackRock also talking about this a lot. So I think now that we've got the likes of, BlackRock and so on, if that's a good thing, I guess it's a good thing. We're just going to see, I think the next decade, the blockchain era has really only just begun. So I think we'll see an acceleration across all things Bitcoin, Ethereum, tokenization as the technology starts to mature and we get the legacy finance institutions start to come on board because they can simply see the efficiencies and the gains and access, all that kind of stuff that tokenization and fractionalization allows. Of course, as Danielle and I talked about, one of the stumbling blocks really is just the regulators. But I think it's just a matter of time. Anyway, everything will fall into place. It always does. All right, folks. That's the end of the show. Thank you again for listening. Please make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But that is it for today. Thanks, team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.